What's up, everyone? It's Jay Ray, the co-host of Q Points, and one really important way that you can support our show is by subscribing to it wherever you listen to podcasts. Q Points is pretty much everywhere. One of those places where you can subscribe, and we highly encourage it, is on Apple Podcasts. If you visit qpnt.net/Apple Podcasts. You could subscribe to the show and listen to all of the episodes. And please, please, please leave us 5 stars because you know you love Q Points. And leave us a review. We really want to hear from you, and it helps to spread the word about the show. It's that simple. Thanks so much for tuning into Q Points, and thank you so much for supporting us. Have a great
Hello and welcome back to Q Points. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And I am Jay Ray, also known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back to another episode of Q Points, your safe space for a visual podcast for meaningful dialogue surrounding Black music and the artists that we love. Jay Ray, I am super excited about this show because we got a lot to talk about.
We got so much to talk about, y'all. It's going to be a jam-packed show.
It's a doozy. But I first want to let's wish our favorite Libra, Toni Braxton, happy 54th birthday? Can you believe it? 54?
Listen, congratulations to Toni Braxton, who has given us so much amazing music over the years. It is Toni Braxton's birthday, and we definitely have to honor that. So shout out.
And 54 where you see her stunting on Instagram everywhere. She looks amazing.
Toni Braxton is stunting on every woman in the world right now. Point blank, period.
Short hair, long hair, it does not matter. Jay Ray, what's your favorite Toni Braxton song?
Take This Ring off of Libra.
You are absolutely right. We said before the show came on, we were talking about what is our favorite Toni Braxton song. We said we're not going to tell each other. We're going to wait till we get on the air, and that is absolutely hands down my favorite song. When I from everything from Rich Harrison's Pots and Pans cranking in the background to Tamar.
Singing for her dinner, her lunch.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She was, going off in the backgrounds. I absolutely love that song. And Breathe Again comes a close second.
You know what? I remember you saying before, because I think we talked about Toni and you mentioned that Breathe Again was one of your favorites. But yeah, for me, Take This Ring goes all the places. And it was Rich. This was classic Rich Harrison. Shout out to Rich Harrison, who had this way of, it was Toni's sound.
Yeah.
But with this like hard edge that I had just never heard before. So if you've never heard Take This Ring, we put a link in the chat. Libra is now available for streaming. Yes. Go and rock Take This Ring, which is on that record, because it's amazing.
Yeah, to your point, Rich is able to. Go-Go is a very dense and driving sound, and it makes you your body want to jerk.
Right.
But the way that he works with like Toni, A-Marie, all those people, they were able to like smooth it out, but at the same time you're jerking, but you're trying to be sexy with it at the same time.
Yep.
Classic record. And as you mentioned, yes, thanks to Blackground Music, Libra is available on streaming. It's available on hard copy too, which is very, very pertinent to what we're talking about.
To what we're about to talk about right now.
Absolutely. And speaking of hard copies, another person that we want to acknowledge, she's over my head right there.
Man.
Janet, Red Velvet Rope album is 24 years old today.
That thing right there. That record, you know, and we didn't know this at the time, but of course that record kind of was the culmination of Janet's classic period. You know, she had a 4-album run of just solid records, and The Velvet Rope was the last of that run. And that record from top to bottom is great. Great lyrics, great production. Yeah, I love that album.
Yeah, it absolutely took a dare to go there where a lot of albums, a lot of artists weren't going at that time. Janet has always been the, you know, the drum major to lead people onto a new direction and show them different things. So we're very happy, Miss Jackson. Thank you so much for The Velvet Rope. And wait, did I call it the Red Velvet Rope?
But I thought you meant the red. I thought you meant the red cover, and then you said Velvet Rope. We just gonna go with it.
Am I thinking about Red Velvet Cake? Maybe. Who knows? We just go with it. Y'all knew what I was talking about, The Velvet Rope. So please, thank you to everyone watching and joining us on Facebook, but also thank you to everybody watching us on YouTube, because we are live on YouTube as well, right, J. Ray?
Oh my gosh, we are live on YouTube. I'm actually, if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, I'm going to put the link in the chat. Make sure that you subscribe to us there as well. And I got to say something, Sir Daniel, y'all need to go over to qpoints.com. We have everything there for you. We have all of the episodes. Every place where you can listen to this show is on the website. So if you listen on something, we probably are there too. So go and check it out. And more importantly, you can subscribe and become an insider, because we actually have some exclusive content from last week that you can only see if you're a member. So do that at the website, but definitely subscribe on YouTube. The link is in the chat.
And just to toot our own horn, the website is magnifique.
Listen, y'all, we built this for y'all. Like, one of the things we said, as we get into our topic, we built this thing because it's not reliant on these major platforms that we're going to talk about. This Q Points is not reliant on that. We built this thing to be self-sufficient.
Absolutely. So let's just get into it. You know, we are talking about, I mentioned hard copies. As a matter of fact, the last episode, I mentioned that Ashanti was, had earned her masters, had become owner of her own masters. And it's funny because we've been wanting to talk about this topic for a minute.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, her label is under the Universal umbrella as well. And we're talking about the Universal Music Group Blaze of 2008. And when I say Blaze, I'm not talking about a hot mixtape. I am talking about a warehouse fire on the Universal. Universal is the home of movies, music, everything. And they, on their lots, they have a whole property. They had a warehouse dedicated specifically to housing the masters. And when I say masters, I'm talking about original recordings on reel-to-reels of music that dates back to the early 1900s.
Yep.
And beyond. And we are talking artists like Louis Armstrong, Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, Bo Diddley, Etta James, Aretha Franklin, just to name a few. Sunday, June 1st, 2008, the warehouse caught on fire.
Yes, it did.
And of course, so there was a major article that came out in 2019 regarding this fire, because y'all are probably sitting there like, fire? What fire? And there's a reason why you don't know about this fire. Yep.
It was kept under wraps for a long time. So the link to the original New York Times article is in the chat. So when you have an opportunity, go and check out this. But I'm going to say the link. We're going to put the link in the description for those of you who are listening to the podcast after the fact. But this fire, so June 1st, 2008, I didn't know that this fire happened until the New York Times article came out in 2019, Sir Daniel. Like, it was that quiet. And when the article came out, it was potentially over, and I'm saying potentially over because Universal denies the magnitude of what was affected in the fire. So let's make that very plain. Universal denies that the number is as large as it was and claims that the author may have had some old information or some misinformation that inflated the number. But when the author wrote the piece for the New York Times, which is still available, and that means something, right? If the New York Times felt like there was no merit to this, there would be a retraction, or they would take that, or they would do something to say this is not the case. That has not happened. So I'm gonna just say that the article's still available. You can read it. But over 120,000 songs. Think of the artists. I'm gonna put this picture back up here. Just think. So you may have been wondering why that the picture of the Impressions was on the flyer. That's why. People Get Ready, classic soul song, might be one of those songs that whose masters were located there. We're talking masters from Shaka Khan may have been there. Masters from the Quincy Jones may have been there. So this was kept under wraps for a reason. And there was a class action lawsuit. It was actually, I'm going to put that up too. So Universal won this class action. So it was brought by, it included Soundgarden, the Tupac Shakur estate, Steve Earle, Hole. Some artists dropped out. Some artists, and some artists just decided not to go ahead and pursue it. So they ended up winning to dismiss this because Universal has continuously said that it wasn't that many artists, right? It wasn't that many, not that much got lost potentially, but no one really knows. So here's the caveat, Sir Daniel. The caveat to all of this is that Universal is saying that they may not have the originals, but they have derivative copies, right? So they have some version of the song so that it's not lost. Here's what I'm gonna say. Q Points, this show that y'all are watching right now, is backed up in 5 places. One of them is on this hard drive that's sitting to the right of me, and we have 4 internet spaces where Q Points lives in video form. So if something goes awry somewhere, yes, I can access Q Points, but it won't be the original. It won't be the one that's on this hard drive in the house. You know what I'm saying? It won't be that one. Point is, that is a scary thing to think that a fire could be this massive, that over 120,000 songs that are part of the framework of music as we know it today. Those original versions may have been compromised, may not exist anymore.
So here's what I was struck with when I read the article. I was struck by how overwhelmingly black
yes,
a lot of the artistry was. Like, a lot of the artists named in this potential list of damaged masters were overwhelmingly black artists. And again, they have been accumulating these intellectual properties since the 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about people like Bessie, Mama Thornton,
mm-hmm.
people who
Billie Holiday, all of them. Mm-hmm.
People you probably didn't even know about until recently because their stories are starting to be told. Mm-hmm. But a lot of, even in this article, they said a lot of these people, these artists, are nameless and faceless because all their intellectual property was taken at the time, and they probably weren't given any credit. So again, this is what we do here at Q Points. We talk about stuff like this, especially when it comes to black artists. Again, we're seeing what happens when these conglomerates get a hold of our intellectual property and do with them what they will. I'm thinking to myself, how many of these artists, especially the nameless ones, the faceless ones, how many of them actually reap the benefits of their artistry?
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. Probably very little. And here's the other thing. The other crazy thing about this, Sir Daniel, because I've worked in the music industry so long, I know for a fact that masters change hands based on acquisitions. Artists
Yes.
don't know. If you were signed to A&M Records in 1983 and you had a master where you left it, you don't know where that master is today, because I guarantee A&M doesn't exist anymore. They have probably been owned 3 times.
Yeah.
Where's your
And
tape?
the worst part is that the person that probably owns that said master, is probably not even musically associated. It's probably somebody from like GE
Yep.
or Kellogg's,
Yep.
some
Yep.
some random some gazillionaire that just goes around accumulating intellectual property that can yield them a profit based on them being released. And you made a point earlier regarding how each of these, like the recordings, still exist, but in digital form. So another point made in the article brings us to the whole analog versus digital argument. It was not even an argument. This is a state of point of fact. Consumers, you guys, do you even realize that what you're probably hearing, even on a streaming platform, is not the same quality? You're not getting the same quality of what was actually on those reel-to-reels.
Yep.
It's like, I put it like this. Those of you who are on Instagram and Twitter, every time you repost a meme or take a picture or something funny you saw and you repurpose it, if you look at that picture, it starts to lose its
Oh,
it starts
the
to
quality starts to degrade.
the quality starts to degrade. It starts losing some of its integrity.
Yep.
That's the word I'm looking for. It's the same thing with the music.
Yep.
The music starts, we start getting it on these streaming platforms, and it just doesn't have that slap that it did even on, say, vinyl.
Yep.
It just doesn't have that same grit and that same aura that it did. So it's kind of like Universal is saying, oh, you guys will be fine. That's
Yeah.
okay. We got it. We have it on streaming. You can still stream it. You can still hear it. Pay no attention to this rubble back here.
Right.
Yeah, we lost a lot of people's intellectual property, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But guess what? Go ahead on and stream it right now. And here's another thing. For all you new vinyl enthusiasts, you can now they get you all excited about that you can purchase these songs, these works on vinyl now. But even the vinyl isn't the same quality.
Not
the vinyl
at all.
At all. The vinyl is from a MP3 rip probably that you're listening to.
Absolutely. And this is the important part to remember. Without the masters themselves, unless stems were made of every track that was on those master tapes, so that 8 or that 16, because these are old tapes, so it probably wasn't no 24s yet. If they didn't make digital copies of all of those stems that were on each and every tape, they can't remix to prepare that for putting onto a new vinyl recording. Can't do it.
Explain what stems are for those who might know.
4 stems. So in digital recording platforms, it is basically the individual files. So a stem is like, think of it as a track. So you have, this is the bass, this is the kick drum, this is the snare, this is the vocal. Each one of those individual things would be considered a stem, whereas before we would call it a track. So it's like, oh, if you have the stems, so then if you load the stems into a platform, it'll read it and say, here's where everything goes in this song. So these are individual stems for this song.
Exactly. It's like the slices of a pizza pie.
Like the slices of a pizza pie.
They all make it up together. And So the question then is, J. Ray, was it responsible storage on Universal's part to have that many original recordings in one place?
I mean, sure. So this, you know what this takes me back to? I mean, I think so. In from '96 to 2000, I worked in a recording studio, and we had a tape room. You had all your tapes. So you had all of your active tapes were in one room. And then your inactive stuff, we would archive in like another space. They would either move to the storage unit, or they would basically move like three times. So it would move from the main room into the warehouse, from the warehouse into the storage. So as things began to age, they would move out, particularly if artists didn't come back. Sometimes artists just didn't come back and get their tapes. Like they would just leave them, and then the label didn't claim it. And then it was just like, I don't even know where this goes anymore. So it's just kind of here. So then the studio has to put it somewhere. So I even think of that, right? I can't imagine. And y'all, 2-inch tapes are huge.
They're big.
They big. I can't imagine that they even thought twice about the fact that they were being stored where they were being stored, because that's where they gotta be right now. Like that's where they're fine there. They're secure. They're on the lot. We can get to it if we need to, not realizing that this could happen. So was it responsible? I think that's up for debate. I think
No.
what I learned from this story is don't take anything for granted.
No. No, and I believe and I think that if more artists, especially the newer artists, were more familiar with this story, especially after what happened this week, and we're going to get to that next, they would take heed and be more cognizant of how they store and how they preserve their music, because from day one we've been talking about how we archive, the importance
Yes.
of archiving and keeping our music safe and sacred, because it is sacred to us,
Yep.
as a people. But yeah, that's just wild. If you have not read the article, as J Ray said, he is going to place a link for the article in the chat and on our descriptions.
Yep.
While you're listening, you'll see the link down there. But UMG, Universal Music Group, is the home of like Motown.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna stay right there. Motown,
Motown.
Island Records, Def Jam,
Mm-hmm.
Interscope, again, Super Black.
Yep. Yep.
Super Black, and I don't know, it's just, I guess, the cavalier attitude of it'll be okay kind of rubs me the wrong way, especially
Mm-hmm.
being that these are predominantly black artists, especially black artists who this industry's back his who their backs of this industry has been built upon,
Mm-hmm.
are have never gotten the credit and definitely won't get any now because all their hard work is ashes.
Mm.
So let me get off my soapbox with that one. And let's just get to it. Earlier this week, what was that, Monday?
That was
Was it
Monday,
Monday?
man. Whew.
Monday, the world stood still. Y'all lost your minds because you kept hitting the refresh button
Oh,
and nothing was
and
happening.
you like, is my phone off? I paid my bill, right? I
Let me go.
did.
Let me restart my phone and just refresh it and see what happens. Still nothing happened. And it became all too apparent and across the world that Facebook and Instagram had gone down for whatever various reasons, and there are a lot of theories out there as to the why the platform stopped. But Jay, immediately I started thinking, "Ooh, this could be a topic for the show,"
Mm-hmm.
because we know a lot of independent artists,
Yep.
we know a lot of musicians, and the way that they engage their audience is through social media. And I immediately was like, yo, what could this potentially mean for today's digital independent artists if all the social medias went away? What's
Mm.
up, Michael Joel? We see you in the chat.
Hey.
Thank you so much for joining us and being a part of the show. Like, think about it. All the artists that we know every day, they're conversating with their groups. They have
Yep.
interactions. Their engagement. Everything is about engagement. And there's some artists that are really good at it and good about engaging their followers,
Yep.
and that can make or break them.
Yeah, man. Thinking about one, the internet has removed it's kind of taken away that wall of not
Mm-hmm.
really being able to see behind the scenes. And really, I was fine with Facebook and IG not working. Like, I was okay with it. And one of the things that Sir Daniel and I talked about, y'all, and this is also letting you know behind the scenes in Q Points. That's why QPoints.com is so important to us. Q Points is not reliant on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter at all.
Listen, you can't get rid of us that easily.
You can't get rid of us that easy. Baby, we could go live
We're
from
here.
the website and chat with y'all. You can't chat with us right now because we are in other places doing that.
We ain't going nowhere, baby.
No. If we got your email address, we can give you a show.
Absolutely, and I love that about us. But I reached out to one of our friends who is an
Yes.
artist, a dope artist by the name of Rob Milton, and just asked him a question about the events that took place. And here's a clip of what he had to say.
Yep.
What's up? I'm Rob Milton, and first and foremost, I want to say shout out to DJ Sir Daniel and Jay Ray. I love Q Points. This is an incredible show. I love what you guys are doing with this show. And to answer the question, as an independent artist, I think it would be insane to pretend that the idea of social media disappearing wouldn't be scary. There are so many opportunities that I have received. There are so many achievements that I have made that would have been practically impossible without social media. And as well as just being able to share my message, being able to post my shows and like all of those things. I do think that we need to better balance ourselves, but it would absolutely be detrimental to business as an independent artist.
Keyword, he said, their balance, and I agree
Balance.
with it.
No doubt. Yeah, like thinking about what this could mean. One, I can't imagine an artist like Rob Milton, who is brilliant. We're going to put his link in the chat. That's why I'm looking down. So I'm dropping that in the chat. So on both YouTube and Facebook. We need the ability, artists need the ability to be able to continue to spread their message. And just thinking about Facebook, if Facebook went down the whole day, because here's the thing to remember for us, there are probably people who had lives scheduled. There's people who are launching products. There are people who have things to do that Facebook became like, oh, this is a place where I can do that. And then all of a sudden you're saying, wait, that's not a place where I can do this. You have to fix it real fast. So I think if there's one thing for the folks that are listening to us right now is listen, if you need to inbox us and be like, yo, Q Points, what should I be doing to make
How
sure?
can I be down?
How can I be down? What should I be doing to make sure that stuff doesn't get lost in the cracks? Hit us up
Yeah.
because it's important. We don't want your music. Like I said, we are backed up in 5. This show is backed up in 5 places. The video exists in 5 places. My hard drive is just one of them. They're in 4 other cloud spaces that are completely independent. So if one goes down, I got another. If another goes down, I got another, and on and on and on. So at least I can stop the bleeding. We can stop the bleeding on this show. So we got to make sure that we ensure the future for our music.
And it's really hard it could be very hard for people to pivot, especially now that because we're still living in the pandemic. A lot of artists have had to change their whole repertoire to include doing live performances via the internet, via these social media platforms. The marketplaces on these social media platforms is how they generate their other dollars from their media, not only the music, but you know, they sell merchandise, t-shirts and whatnot. So I don't know. At first, it was like a big joke to us non-performers and you know us people, you know, us old heads that don't really care about Facebook or Instagram like that. We enjoy it, but it didn't mean any. You know, it doesn't. Our worlds don't revolve around it. But I can see how an artist would at least start to think, if it had gone on any longer, what would I be doing now? How would I continue in reaching and engaging my my audience? An influx of people went from Facebook to Twitter, which was hilarious.
That was hilarious to me.
Because all of us Twitter heads were like, "Oh, hello."
Welcome. They tweeted since 2018. They're like, "Oh, hey."
All right. Don't touch nothing. Don't break nothing. You can have a seat. You know, chill out. You can watch TV, watch shows with us, and comment but don't break nothing. Don't touch nothing that you didn't create. But then, as soon as the switch went back on, they were out. They were going back to Instagram and Facebook.
Well, it's been good, Black Twitter. I'm a head on out.
We'll see y'all. I was like, look, go with God. We appreciate you for stopping by. But yeah, it's just that was quite a blip in the week, and yeah, it made me think. And it was like, yo, J. Ray, we got to talk about it.
No, and I'm glad we did. Like, that is, yeah, we have to, even just taking the Universal thing, right? And like this huge fire. But then Facebook is like an internet fire, right? It's like the same thing, just a little bit different. So it's like, okay, well, now that we know that this is possible, that literally Facebook, with the flick of a switch, can go away. What does that mean for me and my business as an artist?
Wow. Speaking of giving away intellectual property, this announcement I understood it, but it broke my heart. It broke my heart for a couple of reasons. Earlier this week, the Grand Dame herself, Tina Turner, her estate announced that her entire catalog,
the whole thing,
including her image, her likeness,
her name,
which is so weird to me, is being sold to BMG Bertelsmann Music Group.
Yep.
For an undisclosed amount. At least I didn't see it, but it made me start thinking. And I said this to you too. I was like, is Tina Turner kind of like tying up her loose ends and, you know, getting right with God and wrapping up, because she's been dealing with a lot of health ailments for years now. She's she's close to 80. You know, is she tying up loose ends because she feels like her time is not going to be long here on the earth?
I mean, that could definitely be part of it. I think I read this announcement as her asserting control over her image and what she wants to happen with her legacy. I truly saw this, and this was actually kind of sad, because we have these conversations on Q Points a lot about, you know, securing your legacy and making sure that, you know, everything is protected and doing all of these things. And then hearing Tina like selling her legacy to this huge company is like, wow. But at the same time, she's taking care of her business on her own terms. And that's really, it's something we all got to do. I think we got to make hard decisions for our legacies. And this is one that she did for probably a substantial sum. There's been a sum that's been floating. I don't know if the number, there's been floated around that it's a 50 million number. I don't know that is true. But whatever, it's a large sum of money.
But here's the thing. This is the part that always gets me. And I get all that, and I believe, you know, we're always talking about legacy and making sure that we have, and building generational wealth. Yes, she's wealthy now, and her grandkids are going to be wealthy, you know, and so on and so on. But I just feel like if BMG says that you're worth 50 million, BMG knows that you're worth twice that, or maybe three times that.
At least, yeah.
And I'm just like, that means it's worth more if you kept it and it'll still be in the family. And I get it. Maybe that we don't know.
We don't know her
We don't
family
know
situation.
her family situation, but those things always pop up in my mind. Like, are we selling off our heritage? And I just feel like it's part of my, it's part of my heritage too. That's how I feel as an audiophile.
Nope, I agree. No, I definitely thought that. I was like, ooh, that sits weird for me, but also I'm Tina Turner and I don't know her situation. Yeah. But I literally was like, ooh, that's crazy. One, and we don't know what the number is. So I said what's been reported, but I don't think that's come from Tina's camp or definitely hasn't come from BNG because they said that they did it for an undisclosed amount. So I don't know. What I will say, and we've talked about Tina Turner on this show before. She is, you said this, Sir Daniel, she marches by the beat of her own drum. I think you said that. And I respect that. And shout out to Tina Turner for securing her legacy her way.
Absolutely.
And the selling of the name, here's what was so, and I'm gonna get off of this in a second, but what was symbolic about that was I'm like, she's an anime now. She's an anime again, I guess.
Absolutely. And I think maybe it's due to the Buddhist belief of not holding on to earthly things, And she's always been elevated in that respect, and this might just be the last thing. I mean, she's gotten a payday from it, but it's like I'm releasing all of that. I've done with it what I needed to. I'm releasing that so I could receive something else. So
ooh. That's ministry right there.
Hey, I felt that too.
Preach, Sir Daniel.
I'm just kidding. but yeah. So shout out to Tina Turner. We absolutely love Tina Turner around here. Congratulations to Tyler the Creator.
Indeed.
And the other night, it was the BET Hip Hop Awards, and he was a big winner. He was the winner of the first ever Rock the Bells Cultural Influence Award. I was very happy to see how Tyler was being supported and lauded by the forefathers and foremothers. Like, I was on Instagram, I saw Roxanne Shante was bigging him up and saying how proud she was of him. Same thing with Grandmaster Caz, LL Cool J, because Rock the Bells is LL Cool J's station. That was very encouraging, and it's because Tyler knows his history. Tyler always talks about those references that he grew up on that helped to shape him, and so he reaches back and he gives credit to where credit is due. So I really appreciate that about him, and I think it was well deserved.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm a fan. We put the link in the chat to his new album, Call Me If You Get Lost, which is so good. Okay, so y'all go listen to it. Highly recommend it. It's definitely in my top of the year. And yeah, watching, and Sir Daniel, you mentioned this. We talked about this before we went live, but watching his growth.
Yeah. And
even listening to him talk about his growth. And he said something really interesting. It was not the Hot 97. It might have been the Hot 97 interview.
With Ebro?
With Ebro. It was with Ebro. Was it? Yeah, I can't remember which one because he's done several. But he talked about specifically, while other people didn't see where he was headed, he saw where he was headed. Like, it was this very... And Lil Nas X is walking in this same kind of path where it's like, nah, y'all don't see it, but I see it. Y'all will get there. But I already know where this is going for me. And I love that about Tyler. And Tyler, that thing started rocky. You know what I'm saying? Like, it started off really rocky.
It was like, what is
What
this?
are they doing and saying?
I
And
see upside down crosses. I rebuke this. What is going on here?
that, and there was a lot of homophobia and transphobia, and it was just like, young
Yeah.
man, what are you doing? And then to see him as like a grown man, like a rich grown man, like, okay, well, you know what? That was a moment.
That was a moment. That was absolutely a moment. But so, hats off to Tyler. And on that accomplishment, speaking of BET, can you believe it? Rap City and Video Soul, two shows that ruled my high school years, are poised to come back.
Yes.
For a whole new generation.
Live for it. There are several episodes of Video Soul that are already up on Tubi. 30-minute. We're gonna drop it in the chat. They're 30-minute episodes. It's great. So I haven't seen Rhapsody yet. I don't think they've uploaded those yet. And it's not, and I don't get the sense that this is a BET. I wonder if BET has kind of sold the rights, like, because Donnie Simpson is executive producing this. I feel like it's because it's Donnie Simpson's Video Soul, so I feel like he kind of has the rights to be able to do it. Maybe that's a gift to him and to Tigger. But here's what I'm looking forward to. Like, I've already seen it with Video Soul. You have Donnie Simpson talking to new artists. You know what I'm saying? Unknowns, like people, it's clearly Atlanta based, which is great. I'm like, oh, if he's in Atlanta, he has access to everybody.
Yeah, everybody comes through Atlanta at some point. And my hat's off to Donnie Simpson. Like, I'm happy that a new generation is getting to know who Donnie Simpson is. Donnie Simpson is germane to the fabric of Black entertainment. People talk about MTV, and we say it all the time. MTV was not always playing the videos of Black artists, and BET Video Soul was the remedy to that. And a lot of your faves, your parents' faves, had to come through and sit on that couch with Donnie Simpson, and they had a grand old time. Shout out to Sherry Carter.
Sherry Carter, yes, Miss Sherry.
Madeline, all those people that used to
Madeline Wood,
Madeline Woods that ran all those shows on BETs. Like I said, that shaped our childhood.
Point blank period. Like, listen, y'all, to be able to, I've said this a lot, the BET that we have today is definitely not the one that existed in the early 80s. Like, it was a different place. And Screen Scene changed my whole life. So maybe Screen Scene will make a return, but it changed my whole life. Like, Black people, there was like Black dance for like Black people, and Black people were like on stage dancing, and it was something I couldn't conceive of. Video Soul, you have these folks, Black folks, coming in and sitting down on the couch for Video Soul. I wish I had the picture of Kipper and Donnie Simpson, because when Kipper's debut album came out in 1990, he went to Video Soul, and so you have this picture of him on the couch with Donnie Simpson. We need the little elevator. Remember the elevator doors, the ting.
Yep, absolutely. It's like, who's coming through
the elevator door?
And it was just, you just never knew who was going to be on there. And there was just surprises. I do remember, and this is a shout out to BET, I do remember one of the very pivotal moments, things that got really real, was the magazine show that they had on that was hosted by
Teen Summit?
No. Madeline Woods. It was Madeline Woods and
Video LP. Was Madeline Woods show.
No, it was like their news show. They had two anchors.
Oh, yes, BET. It was BET News, or it's like News Tonight or something like that. But Ed Gordon was one of the anchors of that show.
Prior to Ed Gordon, there was another gentleman, and I can't remember his name. Rest his soul. He was one of the very first Black anchors, men, that we saw and lost to HIV/AIDS, and BET was upfront and honest about it. His co-host announced it that he passed away. She was visibly shaken on air. It led to that discussion of HIV and AIDS on Black entertainment television, which was major for that time because a lot of us in the Black community weren't really talking about it, or not on that major platform. But yeah, I just remember that being a major moment. Like, oh, they announced that this Black man died of AIDS to the HIV complications and AIDS complications, and it happened. This has happened. We're dealing with it, and now it's a part of our history.
Wow.
Then they were very responsible on Teen Summit. You know, Teen Summit, which we don't have anything like that anymore, where they talked about those specific topics, including HIV.
Yep.
And BET really, that was a magical time in the late 80s, mid 90s for BET, and the programming that was geared towards us at that time. So I'm super excited about this resurgence of Video Soul. I'm really excited to see what happens on Rap City in the booth.
So, first of all, thank you so much. So, Michael Joel said the name of the anchor was Melvin Lindsay. And what's so pivotal is I don't remember this moment, Sir Daniel, and that's so crazy. I need to go. I'm sure it's available in YouTube land. Thank you so much, Michael Joel, for letting us know. But Melvin Lindsay, we speak your name. Back to Rap City in the booth. So, Sir Daniel texted me. He was like, I wonder how this booth thing is going to go down. My brother, literally, when I told him that Rap City was coming back, he was like, what's going to happen in the booth?
That's the main topic. It's like everybody's like, okay, that's cute and all, but what's going to happen when Big Tigger, and shout out to Tigger. Tigger was nasty with the off the head rhymes. Like, he's crazy with it. What's going to happen when, you know,
your current faves walk up to the mic?
And are they gonna pull out their phones and try to spit something that they wrote earlier? Like, what's really gonna happen? Because that'll make or break you right there. That moment in the booth. I really think it's gonna take a lot of the older artists that are gonna come through, and I'm hoping that they will funnel through the show.
Yes,
it's gonna take them showing the new generation how it's done, or what the possibilities are in the booth, and knowing that when you come on this show, you're gonna have to give us a little something.
You have to spit something, like, you know what I'm saying? and I mean,
not to say that there aren't any that do it now, because I see videos here and there on like Funk Master Flex's show. There are current artists that do get up there and share bars.
Yeah,
but like, you know, it's gonna be nothing for like a Jadakiss to come through, the Locks to come through, Cam
like,
to come through.
Give me a beat,
you know, and get on there and eat the mic real quick. It's gonna be nothing, but yeah. And I guess that's us. That's us old heads.
That's us old heads. But and shout out to Sway. They do have to do it on Sway. We have seen weird, crazy freestyles on Sway, good and bad. So yeah, I'm excited about seeing what happens with Rap City. I'm just happy. Listen, I think this is a great opportunity to have music conversation like we're doing here on Q Points. That's smart, that's thoughtful, and really celebrating the old and the new. So I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely, yes. And so let's get to it. So every week I'm hitting y'all with an earworm. And you guys, first of all, J. Ray, have you seen Squid Game yet?
No, it's on my list. I'm gonna get there. Okay. I ain't there yet.
I think once you watch the very first episode, everything will become clear to you.
Because everybody's talking about this.
When you see that first episode, you're gonna be like, "Wow, this is intense." But my earworm for the week is courtesy of OJC. OJC, I believe that's their name.
Uh-huh.
And if you saw Squid Game and you saw the red light, green light, 1, 2, 3 moment, then this is going to resonate with you.
Here we go.
OJC.
Bring it back. Yo, pussy like this. Yo, pussy like this.
That it's so entertaining, but it's terrifying at the same time. Once you see it, the backstory, it's terrifying.
Okay,
It's quite
I gotta
terrifying.
look. That was super fun. Shout out to Kaya. You gotta slip in a Kaya sample in there.
Listen, it always works. But so that was the Squid Game Jersey Club remix. I want somebody that is either from Baltimore or from Jersey that can break this down for me. But what is the difference between a Baltimore mix and a Jersey mix? A Jersey Club mix? Because, I mean, to me, as an outsider, there's some similarities, and I'm certain somebody could break it down for us what the differences are. Because I hear similarities, but I'm
Absolutely.
wondering what the differences are.
Yeah,
And,
I'm
you
really
know,
curious because it was funny when I heard that and they sent it. It was like Jersey mix. And I'm like, this sounds like Baltimore, but I'm gonna just go with what the person wrote down. So yeah, if there are some folks who end up listening to this or watching this and want to weigh in, definitely do. But we'll put a link in the description as well so that y'all could watch and listen to DJ Sir Daniel's Earworm of the Week.
I'm telling you, and if you think that there's something that I should hear that's going to be an earworm of the week, by all means, drop it in our email. Go to our website, qpoints.com.
Boom.
Follow us on Instagram. Our tags are right there. And you can send me an earworm of the week if you think that it's gonna catch my ear. And we'll talk about it. I'll let y'all know.
Absolutely. So for those of you that are joining, please make sure that you subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, because one of the things that you can do is you can leave us a review, and reviews do help us out like a lot. So, and give us 5 stars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because you know you love Q Points. I said that at the top. And I want to put the link in the chat for those of you to subscribe on Apple Podcasts. And also make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube and tell your friends. You could watch Q Points on the big screen TV in your house. It's super fun. So, yeah, we love y'all, and we just so happy for the support. And yeah, this is cool. This is cool.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us this week for another absolutely great episode of Q Points. And what do I always say, kids? In this life, you have a choice. You can either you can pick the needle up, or you can let the music play. I'm DJ Sir Daniel.
I am J Ray, y'all.
And this is Q Points. We'll see you next week. Be safe out there.